Shout out to Jacob Tanjay, Michael Beecher Life, the NTZ crew. All my fourth quarter members, that's Jeffrey Towder. He said, let's get it started. Mine's about to get a workout today. I hope not, man. But thank all my fourth quarter members. There's Roger checking in from Alabama. He did the triple-double early in the year. All my old heads, that's Q. What's up, Q? He said, if you want to know what sex tourism is like, go to Pattaya, Thailand. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. What's up, Raymond? He said, Magandangu Maga. That's Tagalog for good morning. He said, Sunshine Shows crew, beautiful morning in Las Piñas. You must have got your visa situation straightened out. That's good. Well, the peso is 56.21, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me welcome the new viewers and subscribers. As a matter of fact, I've got a new series that's on my Patreon page for new viewers and subscribers. If you want good tips, insight, suggestions on moving to the Philippines, I'm sharing all of my 16 plus years of living over here. And I'm going to do a series. I'm going to do as many videos as possible. So if you want to go over there and support my Patreon page, I'm going to put the link in the description or even the comments after the live stream. And anybody catching this on replay, what's up, Sam? He says, Mayam Buntak, Gentry in the house, still winning. Yeah, they're going to be winning in San Carlos City today, man. It's the Charter Day celebration, Founders Day. And, man, are they going to party? I think there's a parade going on right now. Let's just hope the weather cooperates, and they'll have the disco later, and it'll be 1 million people over there in Center Mall today. You know, there was 3 earthquakes here, man, within the last month. And then I saw where there was a typhoon. I think Richie Rich abroad, there must have been a typhoon somewhere because they had, you know, distributed like 500 kilos of rice. Well, shout out to Richie Rich for that. But I didn't hear about that. I know the weather looks like it's been like a low pressure area, you know, where it's rain and it's usually a typhoon in the general area. He says, hello, sir. I've noticed that a lot of American men come to the Philippines in order to openly be LGBT. I'm not there, but I'm happy for them. The same rules apply for them, though. Pay to play. Yeah, I did a video a long time ago about, you know, gay men and women get a pass here. Okay, but this has long been the new playground for a lot of gay men. And, you know, more power to them, man. Like you said, they can openly be LGBT. I met a guy in Germany, from Germany, rather, down in Zamboanga City when I lived there. And he would come to the squatter area every year to visit his, you know, Filipino transgender, you know, girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever you want to call it. And I guess they eventually got married. But that's why he said he liked coming here. He said because, you know, he caught a lot of flack where he was from. But yeah, he says, I love the Filipino people and I love their sense of humor. Good God-fearing people. God bless all Filipinos. Yeah. That's kind of why I did my video last night. Like, please don't come to the Philippines, ... You know, if you're going to do all this and act a damn fool and make all the rest of us look bad and disrespect the people, the culture, the country, you know, they're pushing back, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not noticing. You know, everybody's doing videos on these vlogging, the new vlogging guidelines, because I don't think it's really a law, but that's a part of the pushback. And, you know, Vitali's just the tip of the iceberg. He's not the only one. we've been coming over here for a long time. Foreigners have been a problem in the Philippines ever since Ferdinand Magellan showed up. And I just think we just need to show more respect over here. We're guests, and, we have this discussion all the time. What's up, C-Dub? He said, salute, brother Calvin, a West End Louisville legend, man. That's where I'm from. The West End is the best end. And we come over here, we think every woman wants us, or we can have every woman. That's just a myth, guys. That's not true. And we think our pension makes us better, and, because our standard of living is a little higher, our income's a little higher, that we can look down on Filipinos, man. This new generation, I warned you on the video, they have very little tolerance, man, for us now. And it's not gonna end well. He said, most of the hard stories you hear about overseas come from men making poor choices. Yeah, but sometimes, I would say you're right. But sometimes we are victims. Let's just be honest. We come over here and we get blindsided. We have no idea, because of the reputation the Filipinos have as being the greatest neighbors in the world and everything like that. And sometimes, we're blindsided. He said, you think most adults would be on their best behavior in visiting other countries where people would try to get away with anything nowadays. Well, wherever you go, there you are. That's the saying. So we come over here, we bitch and complain. I wrote down some stuff. The customer service. It's not like it is in my country. Where you're not at home. Infrastructure, of course. That's our favorite one. Wi-Fi, brownouts, roosters, stray dogs, beggars, trash. The people here have enough problems. They don't need more coming from you, that elitist attitude that we have coming from the West. We had nothing to do with it. We had nothing to do with where the wheel of life stopped and let us off. But we bring that over here. We tell the people how to run their country. Most of this stuff, man, is rule number one. Shut the fuck up and mind your own business. It's that simple. And you're not going to have any problems over here. I've been over here 16 plus years. I have never had any problems. I mean, nothing that even resembles a problem. But you got the YouTube police, the dick police, the expat police, the pocket police. They want, some guy says, hey, get a job. So you got the retirement police. It's just something about us. We want to tell other people what to do. And that's getting old. Well, they vet themselves. He says, how do you vet which foreigners to let into your circle? I'm a 34-year-old black man. And I'm worried to make friends with some of the other guys here because I have trouble trusting their intentions. Well, they're going to vet themselves. When people show you who they are, believe them. That's, isn't that the phrase that's going around right now? Yeah, the dick police. They want to, worry about who you dealing with, how many children you got, how many times you've been married, how many times she been married, and all of that. Are you dealing with lady boys? And, that's the dick police. And they really don't care for real. For some reason, they want to know all that about you. Hey, Lord P. Oh, that's my water bill, I think. Either my water bill or the water. Hold on, guys. Hey, who is that? It must be somebody familiar. The dogs are familiar with because they're not barking. Yeah, the dick police, that's real. He said, hey, Big Cal, keep doing what you're doing to help people, Cal. Some people don't appreciate what you do. Big man in the Philippines said some things, not being grateful. You're an inspiration, brother. Yeah, I don't have anything against him, man. I mean, what would I get out of beefing with a 70-plus-year-old man, sick, obese, unhappy? I mean, what would I have to gain? Nothing. I would help him again. I would do it again if put in that same situation, because it's not him that I did it for. I did it for me. I like helping people. Yeah, your body count and all that is crazy. But yeah, rule number one is real over here. He says, I'm not trusting of people at first either, but hoping to make friends here. It's a lot of great guys here, honestly. Great people, period. All you got to do is go to one of my meet and greets. You'll meet some of the greatest people you've ever met overseas. He says some foreigners go to the Philippines thinking they're entitled. Yeah, that elitist attitude. It's your responsibility to adjust to their culture. Always flying the radar, staying out of trouble. Yeah, that's good. He said, does the chismis, I think it's called over there, matter to the foreigners or just the Philippines? Being the Philippines. Well, they do it a lot. And sometimes you got to shut your woman down. Like, I don't want to hear all this stuff. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I don't really want to know the language fully. I don't want to know if somebody's talking about me, but they're going to talk about you. It's just, part of their culture and pastime. I tried not to do anything to become the lead, story, so to speak. Hey, Q, thanks for the super chat. He said Philippines tourism would tank even more due to vlogging restrictions. Vlogging actually promotes the Philippines, which helps the local economy. Yeah, but I don't think, y'all got to understand, the Philippines has never been this behemoth as far as tourism. In 2019, that was the biggest year they ever had, 8 million. There's a lot of perceptions because that's the name of the topic today is sex tourism, reality versus perception. But thanks for that super chat. And Americans are still coming here in droves. Westerners are still coming. It's not stopping us. But the South Koreans and the Chinese have pulled back, man. And when that happens, the numbers are going to go down. But the people who do come here, Q, they're staying longer and they're spending more money. And remember, Genius didn't skip the Philippines. They're allowing you to stay here 36 months, provided you pay those immigration fees, the ACR card, the express lane fees. There's a lot of money that they're making up for the lack of people. And it's just, you got to understand, people are afraid, man, when they, there's a history here. And they're trying to, get rid of that history of, kidnapping and, extremists and all that stuff. But remember, that's rule number one, guys. Just come over here, do your due diligence, know where you're going. Just come over and have a good time. I don't worry about the tourism numbers and all that, man. I did the deep dive because that jumped out at me. I'm like, well, damn, the numbers are coming down, but the American numbers are going up. But I don't spend a lot of time worrying about that stuff and the infrastructure and all that stuff, man. If you do, you're going to go crazy because there's nothing you can do about it. But remove yourself. I'm certainly not going to sit around and complain. Remember, Les Brown said, don't complain unless you're going to do something about it. Some guy was on my members only talking about the corruption over here. I'm like, dude, be quiet. You live in the most corrupt nation in the world, America. Okay, the Philippines is kindergarten when it comes to corruption, when you compare it to America. It got crazy on my members only. We got all off topic, guys. We were comparing the Philippines to America. That's how crazy it got. He said, guys, make sure you do deep lunge stretch. Squeeze the glute, be tall and strong. He says, my plan is to be low key and under the radar. Yeah, as much as you can. It's just about being a foreigner, man. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb. But yeah, that doesn't mean, wear gold chains and ride a big Harley Davidson and drive around with your music blasting in your car and all that stuff that's going to make you stand out even more. Public displays of affection with your young Filipino wife or girlfriend. He said, mockers, fueled by jealousy, love tearing others down and playing fun police. Yeah. If you're not wired like them, don't argue as it feeds their ego, ignore their hate, and keep moving forward. Yeah. And most times I do, but I'm a human being. Okay. And it's easy to say that when you're not under attack 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and on holidays, they don't take any days off. But yeah, you're right. He said, I came because of blogs. Yeah, we don't get the credit we deserve, but I just don't think it's going to have as much effect as these other bloggers are making it out to be. Remember, it's all about enforcement. The Philippines resembles America because we've got a lot of influence on the Philippines and the way they do things, to be honest with you. We're a nation of laws too. It's just about enforcement. Are they going to enforce that? And when does it really go into effect? Is it going into effect already? Because I'm seeing these videos, it's like it never went to effect. I mean, that nothing's changed really. He said, Cal, you're one of the most popular YouTubers over there. Haters jumping out the bushes. How can you avoid drama? Yeah. Bless you for educating us. Yeah, I really just ignore it, for the most part, man. He says, I'll be vlogging in General Santos next week, but I'll be sensible. I tell you what, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Well, suggestion. Closing the loop. Go down, take that 45-minute van ride down to Glen in the Serengeti province and go to Glen Beach. I think it's called Glen Beach. Thank me now. Yeah, it's smart though. It's smart. He said, yeah, tell me about it. Paying those immigration fees, waiting for my ACR card to arrive with my latest extension. Yeah, smart. What they don't get in tourists, they make up for in the fees. It was brilliant for real. He said, Cal, would you welcome Indians with open arms to come? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not with all that stuff, man. I grew up fighting that stuff. We're all human beings at the end of the day. All right? I don't have a problem with anybody really unless they've got a problem with me. Yeah, pre-K really when it comes to, I couldn't believe he said that. And I'm like, well, how can you prove that there's corruption over here? Do you know something no other expat knows? Do you got some type of inside information? Are you on the outside looking in? You going by what people say? I was shocked. He said corruption. You live in the most corrupt nation that's ever existed. He said, I've been to the Philippines 5 times now. I'm 27. I don't see anything wrong with pay to play. As long as you're honest about it and you're not messing up good women in the process. I stay mainly in Angeles City. Yeah, okay, so what is sex tourism? First of all, I got 2 definitions. One I really like. It's the simple one. It's from the Oxford Dictionary. It just says, travel to another location for the purpose of buying sex. Okay. And then the other one is national or international travel of men and women where the main objective is sex with local men, women, and minors. But there's two elements that define sex tourism: the people involved and payment. So I don't think we're going to argue about that. But I just wanted to know, I couldn't find out who coined that phrase, sex tourism. And you see all these lists, but no one ever tells you, is this what determines if a place is a sex tourism destination or not? Because Michael Beecher Life said something yesterday, which made a lot of sense. He said, wherever men travel, sex is on their mind and they have an agenda. So technically, every place could be a sex tourism destination. That's the reality. The perception, though, is only the poor countries are sex tourism spots. Because if you go to these lists, first of all, you're only going to find top 10 lists. And it's always the same brown countries. They don't have a top 100 list. Okay, and this isn't an argument about what country you think is a sex tourism destination and which ones you don't think, because it's all subjective. I think what got people kind of going yesterday on the members only was when I said, to me, because I've been living over in the Philippines for almost 7 years now, but I've been coming over here on and off for over 16 years. Technically, it would be a sex tourism destination, but they say it's in the top 10. And that's what I agree with. I disagree with, rather. Because who's making these lists? At one time, would you say when the U.S. bases were here, would the Philippines have been a top sex tourism destination? Yeah. Do you lop in the dating sites? Is that considered sex tourism? If I get on the dating site and meet a woman and come over here, that would be the only way, because like Q said earlier, if you go to Pattaya, man, that's sex tourism to me. Because the Philippines has 7,000 islands, you only have a handful of these places. It's sex tourism infrastructure. You got Walking Street in Angeles City, which looks like a petting zoo compared to the Walking Street in Pattaya. There's nothing that compares to Soy 6 in the Philippines, nowhere. But you got that, then you got Virgo Street in, I think, Makati, and then you've got Mango Square in Cebu. Other than that, you got a bunch of freelancers like you would in any other country. So for them to put the Philippines in the top, I'm like, no, I got to push back against that. He said, Cal was looking at a clip from the P, and she was interviewing a young Filipino about her name. And she said an older expat showed up at her school stalking her and scared her to death. Yeah, but they won't listen. We think that every woman wants us, that we can have every woman over here. It's just not true. Stick to the game plan, guys. If you're watching this vlog, get on the dating site and find someone that's willing to deal with you. Don't be running up on these young girls, man. You're going to get in trouble. They don't want you in their face. Remember the emperor and with no clothes? They're the little child. They're going to tell you who you are. They're not going to give you the makeover. Like the people who are trying to use you for your money and everything like that, and what you can do, the visa and all that. They're going to tell you, oh, how good you look. Oh, you don't look that old. Oh, you say, oh, how much you weigh? 350? You don't look like you weigh 200. I'm 60 years old. Oh, you look 40. You're handsome. And all of that. Oh, you're so knowledgeable. I call that the Filipino Turk makeover. But these young girls are going to tell you exactly who you are, man. You old. I don't deal with old men. Get out of here. But yeah, they have these lists. It's never the top 100, because y'all going to be shocked, man, of some stuff I found, because I did a deep dive on this. He said European women are going to African countries, but no one's complaining about that. Well, yeah, I saw something where they said when a woman does it, it's empowering. But when a man does it, you dirty old man. Shame on you. But they're over in Gambia doing the same thing that they accuse us of doing. What's up, Ryan? But Germany and Europe, a lot of those countries in Europe, that's where the real sex tourism really started. In the Netherlands, De Wallen Street, or the red light district, that's the most famous sex tourism destination in the world. And it's almost like a badge of honor to say you're going there. But if you say you're going to somewhere like the Philippines, what are you doing? You're taking advantage of those defenseless young women, you're pitiful and this and that, right? It's a double standard. The reality is they're selling the same thing. The perception, though, is, because it's in Europe, it's not as bad as what's going on in the Philippines. Yeah, it's almost like that. Go to Walking Street in Pattaya. Okay, go to Nana Plaza in Bangkok, and then come back to the Philippines, and you'll be like, why would they call this a sex tourism destination? If it is, every place is a sex tourism destination, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? You go to Nana Plaza, first of all, when you get there, it's all these bars and stuff on the street on both sides. Then you walk into Nana Plaza, and it's like a mall. It's 3 stories. Nothing but bars full of women. There's nothing like that here in the Philippines. Yeah, but, sex is natural, man. Come on. And this is a men's group. We can talk about this stuff. It's not all we talk about on here. Okay? No, I didn't forget Subic Bay. He said I forgot Subic. Look, man, when these bases were here, these U.S. military bases, I've got a friend, Sammy Davis, who lives in Angeles City full time. He was there in the 80s. He said, Calvin, this is nothing. This isn't the Angeles City that people talk about all the time. It's totally different now. He said, as far as you could see, there was nothing but bars on both sides of the street. Same in Subic Bay. Now it's like, man, you go up there. If you're watching this and you're a sex tourist, okay, and you go to Angeles City, man, you're gonna be very disappointed. If you were an expat, I would tell you to go to Thailand. Before I tell you to come to the Philippines. Now, I will say that Thailand has that over the Philippines. Okay, because I've seen both of them. Yeah, it's empowering for women. But for us, man. What's up, Ron? Thanks for that super sticker. Because the reason this even came up was because shout out to the Tonester. Tony, his name is Tony. He lives in John TM in Pattaya, that part of Pattaya. And we was just talking about it. He was like, I don't know why people look at the Philippines as a sex tourist destination. He lives in Pattaya because he knows that's sex tourism there. Technically, yeah, it is here. But it's not on that level. It's not on the level of, okay, the biggest red light district in the world is in India. It says one of the biggest red light districts in Asia and the world is located in Sonagachi, a neighborhood in Kolkata, India, with several hundred multi-story brothels with over 16,000 commercial sex workers, guys. There's nothing like that here. Okay? Yeah, it's a different beast. And then you come over here and you say, oh, this is like kindergarten, man. It's not even kindergarten. You're still in the nursery They haven't even released you to go home with your mother. If you're talking about sex tourism in the Philippines compared to Thailand, I've been around the world, man. I was in the United States Navy. I seen some crazy stuff, right? When I went to Thailand, I seen nothing like that. The worst I had seen, well, not really the worst, but something that made my eyes pop out was when I went to Mexico, Tijuana. And as far as you can see, I mean, I'm literally as far as you can see in the horizon, women are standing shoulder to shoulder like this on both sides of the street, you know, selling that thing. Okay. But then you go to Thailand. But here's the thing about Thailand and France and Italy and all these places. They double as a regular tourism spot and a sex tourism spot. So if somebody says, oh, I'm going to Thailand, you're not going to get any pushback on that. But if you tell them you're going to the Philippines, oh, you dirty dog, you know. Did y'all know that France is the #1 tourist spot in the world for the last 30 years? And prostitution is legal on a limited basis, meaning it's free. I mean, it's legal in the brothel. You can't sell it on the street. And if they catch you, you're going to jail, not the prostitute. Okay. But a lot of these places, I'm going to tell you the places. Okay. Here's the top tourism countries that have legal or limited legal prostitution. But most of these, except for France and Canada, it's legal. Italy, Turkey, Mexico, Greece, Austria, Netherlands, Switzerland, Japan, Hong Kong, Australia, Singapore, Colombia, New Zealand. Belgium is the country with the most legal prostitution. Okay. They were the second country. Well, they were the first country in Europe to decriminalize prostitution and the second in the world behind New Zealand, where it's no crime in the brothel or the street. But you never hear about that. If you pull up a list, Belgium's not going to be on it. It's going to be, I can almost tell you what's going to be on the list. Thailand, all these brown countries, Thailand, Bangladesh, the Philippines, what else? Colombia, Brazil, what else? Kenya. And it's all these brown countries. Every now and then you'll see Germany, you'll see the Netherlands. He said renting a girlfriend for bedroom favors is one of the oldest professions. It is. Yeah, thank you. Singapore, he said, even a wealthy Asian country like Singapore has a red light district and it's legal, just not freelancers. Yeah, see, I got Singapore on here. I said Singapore. But they never talk about that. You can't pull up a top 100. And here's the crazy thing. The United States is never on the list. If it is, it's way down there. You know, there's no more. Man, the United States, first of all, has the third most prostitutes in the world behind China and India than the United States. There's no more freaks than there are in the United States. Okay, we're the freak capital of the world. But guess what? It's not on any of the list. So I asked you, who's writing these lists? Okay, who's writing these lists? Who's coming up with them? Because they all got the same countries on there. But there's 54 countries where prostitution is legal, period. Okay, Brazil, Turkey, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Belgium, Hong Kong. It's legal. There's no limitations on it. But, you know, it comes from limited knowledge of the world, first of all, because a lot of these, but the United States has, this is the only country that has illegal, limited legal, and legal. That's the only country that has those three things because it's legal some places in the United States. In certain counties in Las Vegas for sure. But that's another thing. The Philippines and Thailand, it's illegal. Prostitution is illegal. He said Jeb Bush wrote the list. He said, yeah, I would question the credibility of those articles. Maybe there's a political agenda. This is what I'm thinking. It's almost the same. You've heard those lists, the happiest people in the world, the top 10 beaches in the world and all that. You know, it's usually got some type of hidden agenda. They're trying to push you toward certain places. He says, hello at Sunshine Shows. I watch Coops and Brooke on the YouTube and they reference you often. You mean Cooper's Thai Adventure? Is that what you're talking about? I've never heard of Coops and Brooke. Hey, what's up, grinding all my life? Now, there's 69 countries where it's illegal. Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, you know, among 69 countries where prostitution is illegal. Well, you know, that's all subjective. We don't know. They say the Netherlands because, you know, it's legal and it stays packed. And they said the women, it says right here, the women are on display through glass doors. And, you know, they said they're actually licensed by the city with regular checks on health and working conditions, home to perhaps the most famous sex tourism destination. Yeah, it's going to be in Vietnam, man. I'm waiting. I don't know why it's taking so long for my damn visa from Vietnam. Is anybody, how long does it normally take? This will be the second business day. Yeah, it's illegal in the Philippines, man. This is Roman Catholic country, man. You know, but for some reason, they don't look, they look the other way in places like Angeles City, the Walking Street. But that's just a pocket. The Philippines only got like really like 3 pockets where, you know, that stuff goes on as if people are looking the other way. And that's one of them, Burgo Street in Makati and then Mango Square. But, man, they pale in comparison. I mean, when I went to Patio, man, when Mr. Lee was just driving me to my hotel, I passed, I'm not going to lie, once we got into the city limits, man, I passed 30 bars. And this isn't Soy 6 on Walking Street. Okay, and they'll have a bubble show and promoting the bubble show and all that. Okay, 1 work week. Okay, thank you. So I'm no need for me to panic. And shout out, man, I saw where y'all gave that 500 kilos of rice to the typhoon victims, but where was the typhoon? Hey, Sonny D, thanks for that super chat. He says it's hard to get your girlfriend out of the country to Vietnam. No. That's one of those Asian countries, ASEAN countries. Maryland doesn't need a visa. She gets 21 days. I'm the one that needs the visa. Yeah, it's there. It's there. But what I'm saying is, it's not like Thailand and some of these other places. When you think of sex tourism, you think of a Disneyland for sex. And that's what Thailand is. Now, technically, would the Philippines be considered a sex tourism destination? Yeah. But what goes on over here is in stark contrast to the perception. Reality versus perception is different, man, because I told you, there's no telling what my grown daughters think I'm doing over here. They probably think I'm just over here, you know, taking advantage of defenseless, poor girls over here. when I'm not. If you ever see me blink my eyes, guys, I'm telling the truth. Send help. Yeah, every place does, Nicholas, man. We're not gonna argue about that. But it's no bigger than any other place. You're talking about 7,000 islands, man, over here, okay? We know that prostitution is here. We're not saying it's not. This is the same argument I had yesterday. But if you ever been to Thailand and some of these other places, you would say the Philippines is not one of the top destinations. Is it popular? Absolutely, it's popular. But to say it's one of the top with the few little pockets that it has over here, man, come on, guys. Oh, okay. He said no typhoons yet. He said we tried to donate last year and couldn't, so we're out ahead of the typhoons this year. We know they're going to happen, so we just gave before the time. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, but see, that's what they think. That's the perception of what goes on over here in the Philippines. Not realizing that most of the women over here, they're not even looking at a foreigner. They're not had nothing to do with prostitution in the red light districts or anything like that. They're trying to live their best life like anybody else. It's just a reputation that's carried over from World War II, the Vietnam War, and all of that, man. It's hard to shake over here, no matter how much progress they make. And I'm not taking up for the Philippines. I don't have any skins in the game. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing over here, boots on the ground. If I didn't have anything to weigh it up against, it'd be different. You know, that's all I'm saying. He says, I'm happily married in Thailand for 12 years. You know, if you're going to lump everybody into the same basket and say, okay, the guys who are getting on the dating site and coming over here to meet women, and are they having sex? Yeah, consensual sex. Then, of course, okay, it's going to be the one at the top. But you're reaching, man. You already had a meet and greet in Angeles City. I already had a meet and greet in Angeles City about 2 years ago. Hey, what's up? ML Russell, he said, greetings from Bangkok. He'll tell you, I'm pretty sure he's walked past Nana Plaza. Where else have any guys been around the world where you see this big sex tourism build up? You know, Brazil and Colombia. I've been to Cartagena, Colombia. But you're talking about the Philippines. You know how stretched out the Philippines is. If you come to San Carlos City, you're not going to see anything like that. If you even go to Dumaguete, are there prostitutes in Dumaguete? Absolutely. You may see them going in and out of what's the name of that little bar across the street on the boulevard, and then Bogarts. But man, it's nothing like, man, you guys must not have been to Bangkok and Pattaya. That's sex tourism, dude. Tijuana, Mexico. No, I don't need any. Well, I don't know. They said it changed. Dude. When I went in 2022, I didn't need anything. I didn't even need a round trip ticket, although I have one. He said, Cal, do you need a visa to go to Thailand? Or will your passport do? It did in 2022. I don't know if it's changed, but somebody who's just come from Thailand or whatever, let me know. He said, sad thing is, I like to go to Thailand every year, and the first thing people say is I'm either a sex tourist or in the ladyboys. I stopped arguing. We said that yesterday. But here's the thing. Thailand doubles as just a regular tourism spot. Because there's a lot of women going to Thailand now. Certainly black women, it's a lot of them. And I don't think they get that pushback. Okay, he said you don't need a visa. I know I didn't in 2022. I mean, they've got one here, but they just don't have the infrastructure. They don't have that infrastructure that people talk about, man. You just don't have it. I mean, I'm not even into that. When me and Marilyn, when we had the meet and greet in Angeles City, and we just wanted to see, even Marilyn wanted to see Walking Street. I was disappointed. I'm like, this is Walking Street? It's nothing. It is nothing. He said we need a list of questions to ask to find out if she done that. If she done that, been there and got out. What are you talking about? You'll be able to tell. Yeah, but you know, the videos I see of black women over there, they living their best life in these big condominiums and stuff like that. You know, it's not like they're going out. At least the videos I've watched where they're going out and, you know, dating or anything like that. What's up, I love LaChon? Well, actually, they are, and they get a pass. I gave them a pass for years, but you start to really see it now, certainly after the pandemic. But before the pandemic, if I saw a woman over here, she was over here as a missionary or one of those environmentalist, education, but no, they're over here dating and marrying Filipino men, certainly from Europe. Because one woman, she's from Switzerland. She's like a big Susie, really. And she has a channel. She came over here and married, you know, a real humble Filipino man. And they're showing her in the province. She's taking a bath and stuff like that. So, yeah, they're sneaking over here in the Philippines. But they're really under the radar, man. They just don't get any pushback at all. They don't even put pushback at all. But yeah, we're going to have a meet and greet in Vietnam. I want to say the 25th. TJ still trying to get the location. He said, what's the word on the meet and greet in Bangkok? I'm still up in the air about whether we're going, because remember, we got children here, man. We're stretching it to go to Vietnam. You know, we'll probably stay there 7 days because I was going to do 10 and 10 because, you know, Vietnam from Da Nang to Bangkok is only like an hour and a half. But I don't want to put too much on her mother's plate, man. Her mother will be 70 years old this year. You know, Maryland doesn't seem to matter, but Maryland's not buying the tickets. I am. I got compassion. I'm really thinking about that. And the kids really, you know, they miss Maryland, man, you know, like I said. And I don't know, but we're going to play it by ear. But I really want to come to Bangkok. I love Thailand. He said, yeah, it's a real culture shock. And then they got videos on there where, because she's taking him, they're married, he's got the visa. They show their apartment in Switzerland and they're living good over there. Yeah, I'm retired. If you're talking to me, I'm retired. He said Thailand is still 60 days of arrival. See, Kevin, he just came from there. He knows. Yeah, I would love to do that. Yeah, I love the beach. That's why I'm going to Da Nang. We're going to fly into Ho Chi Minh City, then to Da Nang. I could have took the straight direct flight with Cebu Pacific, but every time I tried to book it, it was saying, oh, this trip isn't guaranteed, it isn't confirmed. it could change at any time. It could be canceled. I'm like, well, no, I don't want to do that. He said, I'm retired. Yeah. I'm retired from work, not life. But I just always wanted to go to Vietnam because I had a friend at the YMCA. He was Vietnamese, but he was, U.S. national. He had been there for 40 years. He told me when I left in 2018, he said, man, make sure when you over there, you visit Vietnam. He said, you're going to love the food and everything. But I never went. And this is one of the guys said that they're going to take me to this place right here. He said he's got a car. He said, I'll take you in Maryland, him and his girlfriend. Well, in Pattaya you couldn't, but they've got a lot of beaches in Thailand. But I know that in Pattaya I didn't see anybody. And they said, don't get in the water. They got a nice beachfront right there. As a matter of fact, I had a live stream there with right on that beach with Chocolate Man in Thailand, but he was wherever he was, his house or whatever. What's up, Frederick? What's going on? He said, I don't understand why black women come to Thailand and complain that the dating scene sucks for them. Black men don't come all the way from America to look for a black woman. Yeah, but believe it or not, black women really have been traveling. I'm talking about regular black women, not military and all that. Long before black men. And they usually do it in groups. Because when I was coming back from America, there was 3 young black women. They were going to Thailand. They were going to Bangkok. And I can't get one person to travel with me over here to the Philippines. It was 3 young women. They probably were somewhere around 25, 26 years old. No, it's not Pattaya. It's Pattaya. From what I was told. And you'll argue with people about that. But it's not Pattaya, no. Because that's what I used to think. It's Pattaya. It's Pattaya, not Pattaya. Okay, that's in, I think they're in, where are they in? They're in Thailand, right? Yeah, he said that's an argument there that'll never get settled. Yeah. He said, you ever go to Japan? I've only flown into Japan. I just like tropical places, man. He said, yeah, the group are a thing, yeah. They travel in groups. We can't get along enough to travel in groups. But they've been doing that for a long time. Yeah, but that's an argument, man, because they corrected me, man. I was like, Pattaya. They was like, no, it's Pattaya. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm sorry. Okay, he says 5 and 4 star. Well, my buddy Achilles, remember I interviewed him. He's in Nha Trang right now. Him and his girlfriend. He lived in Da Nang for several months, ever since he left here. And now he's in Nha Trang. Wow, $40 a night. I got a good friend who lives out in Washington State. And he said, Cal, you're not going to believe me. He said, I just come from Vietnam. He said, you can eat 3 meals, for $10 total there, he said. He said 5. He said for around $5. He said, you think I'm lying? He said, but I was eating 3 meals a day over there. And I was like, well, I got to see that. Yeah, I'm just talking about right there. Okay, I'm trying to think. Because nobody was in there, and they said, don't get in that water. It's polluted. And that's one of the things about over tourism that people don't talk about enough. And that's the air pollution and, the plastic waste. Thailand is one of the number one producers of plastic waste in the world. But that's from over tourism, man. You got to understand, hell, it's only 69 million people in Thailand, locals, and at its peak, 49 million tourists. He says that David G, I asked Thai everywhere, and I asked them if they swim at the beach, and they say no, toilet. Well, my youngest daughter said she does, but hell, I don't know how she's going to do it. She's working and going to school. She don't even have a passport. It takes a certain type of individual to travel this far. It doesn't matter where you're from or whether you're a man or a woman. See, on my Patreon, that's what, I've got that series now, moving to the Philippines. And I'm just giving some insights, but the first video I made was just come over here. See if you can handle that plane ride. Don't make no plans. Just get on the plane and come to the Philippines, and just see how it moves. Feel the vibe. Are you going to like it over here? But the first thing I was telling them about was the plane ride. A lot of people can't do that, man. It's a long ass way. Okay, so you never been there. Well, hell, what are you talking about? But that's a long plane ride. In my instance, it's in my situation, I'm traveling. Okay, I ride a Greyhound from Louisville to Chicago. That's 5 hours. Then I catch a flight from Chicago to Hong Kong. You might just say 15 hours, and then another hour and a half to 2 hours to Manila. That's a long way. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, he said 3 meals for $5, and this guy says Vietnam is extremely cheap. I lived there for 2 years for just about $400 per month. I'm going to go over there and see because honestly, man, he's talking about Phuket. Yeah, absolutely. He said, I just had one fish burrito, almost $10. We're in Japan. Because I know when I was one thing that you're going to know about Thailand, which I really like, your money goes a lot further in Thailand and the value than it does over here. And I say that because just in my opinion, America has too much influence on the Philippines. That's why you see a lot of the prices over here that you see and the value. You're like, man, I don't know. But then you go to Thailand and you get much more for your money, more bang for your buck. Yeah, it's a beautiful beach. You see, this is a Thailand guy right here. It is a beautiful beach. No one gets it. That's what shocked me. Me and Chocolate Man in Thailand, we were sitting there having coffee and whatever he was drinking. And I'm just looking out, man. We're looking at Beach Road. It was beautiful. I fell in love with it, but you can't swim. He said, will the Philippines have, okay, what do you mean, a tourism fee? Most countries it's a non-visa situation. So if you got a valid passport, your first 30 days is visa free. America's one of them. But then after your 30 days, if you want to extend, they give you 29 days, you got to pay. And then from then on, really, every 1 month or every 2 months. unless, you got one of the visas over here. Yeah, and we had this discussion yesterday. But it's still a nice place. It's still a nice place. It's still a beast, man, when it comes to the tourism numbers and everything. It is a fantasy. This is true. Coming over here, man, it's just too far. And it's too much in between the West and Southeast Asia. You're going to get off somewhere. I saw where Blizzard Abroad, he's in the DR right now. Brazil, because, man, you're thinking about taking that long flight, man. It's a lot of thinking you're going to be doing on that plane. Yeah, he said the plane ride is brutal. But it's worth it once you get here. That's why I just don't go home often, man. I got a friend over here. He's been here 3 years. He hasn't been home yet because of that. And if Icy's going to be on here today, I hope she comes on here. I saw where she was front and center on Zoom to Thailand. I wanted to give her props, man. She really did a good job. She held her own on that. He said everywhere was better. That's right. Because that was the thing, that was one of the arguments we had. The Philippines is dealing with the reputation from way back, World War II, 80s, certainly, in the early 90s. It's not like that anymore. That's not the Philippines that you're going to run into over here. No, it's not. This isn't what we're saying. We're just talking about sex tourism, period, around the world. Because he says, I don't understand why this topic. Who are the people that saying the Philippines has more sex tourism than Thailand? Nobody is. And I don't want to take it in that direction. We're just talking about sex tourism because, okay, who on here will consider themselves a sex tourist? Nobody. We're just talking about it. We talk about anything on here. We haven't even been talking about sex tourism. Always got a topic, though, that we can fall back on. But we can talk about anything. That's what the live streams are about. They're supposed to be spontaneous. He says the airport fee in Manila is $20. You mean when you leave the country? But that they put that into your ticket now. He said, hey, Cal, if anyone knows, how do you exchange your money in Thailand or Vietnam? I made a mistake. The first time I got to Thailand, I exchanged money at the airport. And then when I got to Bangkok, me and Eric Terry, I lost 3 baht on the dollar. I mean, they split my head far worse than what the Philippines does. Because at that time we went in 2022, it was 35 baht per dollar. They gave me 32 at the airport. But I tell you what, I never regretted one moment there. It just wasn't long enough. And that's why I told Merlin, if we go to Thailand, we may have to come back here and then plan for Thailand another time because I don't want to go over there for 5 days again. And Booby is only 4, because believe it or not, man, the tickets from Vietnam to the Philippines is so cheap, man. You could really live in the Philippines and Thailand. I mean, and either Thailand or Vietnam. That's why I made the topic the other day. You can have all of them if you wanted to. Imagine Da Nang to Bangkok is only an hour and a half. That's from gate to gate. So you're probably only up in the air an hour, and now you're in Bangkok. Then you come to the Philippines, you do that triangle. Yeah, he said he's been traveling for almost 30 years. He said, somebody said never trade Philippines. Oh, man, that's true, too. That's true. Or vice versa. Man, boy, you better say this again. I lost so much money, because, okay, I changed my, the big mistake I made, and I don't know, like I said, I didn't know. I'm coming back from Thailand in the airport. I exchanged it to pesos, man. And when you look at the original dollars I had, then I went to Tabat, then back to pesos, man. Oh man, I got my head busted. He said, yeah, it must be a very short flight. The plane probably spends more time moving on the taxiway than in the air. Yeah, when you, an hour and a half, man, that's a real short flight. That's why when you fly from Iloilo to Cebu, they'll tell you it's a 45-minute flight. It's not. It only took us 24 minutes. It's one of the shortest flights I ever had. But I flew one time, believe it or not. I don't know why they got this flight in there. I don't even know if they do. I was coming from the Philippines, and I flew into Vegas. Then I flew into Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, I don't know how I even got that, but I flew from Cincinnati, Ohio to Louisville, Kentucky, which is 100 miles. They said it's the shortest flight Delta had. It was 13 minutes. I mean, I couldn't believe it. What's up, Louise? Long time, man. Welcome to the chat. Well, I paid altogether, it's about $336 for me in Maryland. But you can go, but see, I'm going Vietnam Airlines. They've got a direct flight, Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific. Cebu Pacific is the economy airline, and they've got a whole lot cheaper flights. But I needed the luggage and everything, because you got to buy it separate with Cebu Pacific. You still get a good price, but it's not that much. He said, so basically, if you want to have fun, go to Thailand. If you're looking to settle down, go to the Philippines. I guess you could probably cover both of them. It's just that if you think of sex tourism, Philippines is not going to come up as in the top. It shouldn't now, unless you're going to push the dating site situation. Otherwise, you just not. When you think of sex tourism, you think of places like Thailand. I had a short flight from Phoenix to LA one time. That's a short flight. He said flying in the Philippines takes less time taking a bus from Mock to Newtown to IT Park. Oh, man. He said, I know, man. I've just been busy with the hamster wheel. Yeah, I know. But it's crazy, okay? I can fly all the way from the United States to the Philippines faster than taking the to-go from Bacolod to Manila. When you sail on that ship. And so I always think about stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. Now, some guy was saying this. He said Thailand women aren't that sexy though. He said, but then we had a guy on the live stream the other day talking about, Filipino women are 80% of them are obese now. And he said, that's why he likes Thai women better. He said, no lie, that flight from California to South Korea to Bangkok is torture. That's one of the reasons I decided to stay in Thailand. Also, I hated leaving when I was here before. Yeah, if you've never made that trip over here to Southeast Asia, you can't relate. You're thinking to yourself, man, it couldn't be that bad. It is, man. But the first time you make the trip, you're going to be so excited. It's not going to be so bad. But coming back, and then every time you go, it's brutal. He said, he says, how much money to the Philippines? Probably a lot, but see, remember, all this stuff is subjective. Anyway, there's really no way that they can tell you how many people come there. And that's why I say these lists are bullshit, because it's almost like when I was listening to that Charlie Kirk guy, that racist guy. He says, blacks are 13% of the population, but they commit 58% of the murders, right? Wait, there's no way that you can come up with those figures, because now you can come up with the arrest figure, and the conviction, but the crimes, you can't do that, because so many of them go unsolved and so many go unreported. It's the same with this sex tourism. You don't know who's coming over there for sex tourism or not, and how much money they're spending on sex tourism or not. So, I don't know where they're getting. They're just going by their personal experience, I guess, or what they've heard, because there's really no concrete numbers. But I know if you go to a place like Nana Plaza, okay, a Soy 6, they're spending a lot of money. But honestly, when I went to Soy 6, I didn't see that many men. But this was right after COVID. This was June of 2022. The Philippines opened up February of 2022, but Thailand opened up a little bit before that. The numbers were way off. So it's probably different now. But yeah, it's hard to say. But as far as tourism numbers, period, it's in the billions of pesos, because people are staying longer and they're spending more money. He said, I believe my shortest flight I ever rode was West Palm Beach to Orlando. Yeah, I did a 13-minute flight. I couldn't believe it. I don't even think that they have that anymore, Delta. And I was right in the front in that seat where there's only one seat. There's nobody even sitting by me. Then it's two over there. It's one of them little bitty planes. I hate them planes, man. He said, that's the worst flight of my life. I literally dread getting on that plane. I know. And, I'm always telling myself, man, I'm going to take a sleeping pill. And I'm going to go to sleep. And when I wake up, I'm going to be in Manila. I never take it, man. I just be sitting up there thinking and playing solitaire and all that other foolishness. He said, the first time I left Thailand, I was angry. I had to leave. The second time I left Thailand, I cried. Man, the first time I left, man, I had tears in my eyes, man. I had such a great time here, man. I mean, I really did not want to go back. I couldn't wait to get back over here. He said, I like doing that LAX to Narita. It's quite manageable, and you could connect to anywhere from Tokyo. That's the one I used to do. Well, not LA, but I used to go from, when you take Korean Air, you go from Chicago to, not Narita, you go to, what's the one you go to in South Korea? And then sometimes when I fly like ANA, you go to Narita. Greg Williams said, what's up, my fourth quarter, brother? Thanks for your raw and honest words. If I ever make it to the Philippines, I'll email you for your advice. Continue blessings, you and your family. Hey, thanks, man. I got a friend in San Carlos City named Greg Williams. I thought you were him. Oh, absolutely. He said Soy 6 is way more ladies than men. Yeah. It's a younger man's era. As an older man, I can walk down there and get zero attention. Not me. I told Marilyn the other day, I was like, I had to physically move a woman out of my way. I'm like, get out of my way, lady. First of all, she wasn't, somebody I wanted to be looking at. He said the bars and bar girls considered like a brothel. Yeah, because they got the little room. All those little bars have a room in the back, and you go up the stairs. Because when you go past that, if you go in there, because Mr. Lee, he knew the manager was a woman of this one bar. Well, she was actually the owner. And we're just sitting in there. I'm drinking a Coke. I bought him something to drink. And the women are trying to get you to go upstairs. It's a little in the back of the room. You go upstairs and you see men coming down. You know, I just can't work on the clock like that. He said, I flew in Bangkok in 2012. The flight to Japan was 18 hours and another 7 hours to Bangkok. Wow, from Atlanta. I shopped at MBK as much as possible. I didn't give Bangkok a chance. He said, well, see, I did a whole video on this. You really can't tell. She's going to have to tell you. And people say, oh, well, she's got a tattoo. Well, everybody's got tattoos now. He says, so how do you know if she was a bar girl? What's your saying? Some guys get food because she's already returned to the province. You don't know. That was the whole point of bar girls make good housewives because, man, so many Americans married bar girls during the Vietnam War, World War II, and they lived happily ever after. But once she gets out work at the bar and puts on that little okay top and those little shorts and everything like that, you don't know if she works in the bar or not unless she tells you. There's just no difference. They eat the same foods. They speak the same languages. They do the same thing. You just won't know. He said, flying from the U.S. to the Philippines shouldn't be no worse than flying from the U.S. to Ghana, Egypt, or South Alkebulan. The jet lag is the same. Well, I know that I can't say, yeah, Incheon, Richie, thank you. I can't speak on that. I can speak on the jet lag here is brutal. And once that adrenaline wears off, it's going to kick your butt because coming from the East Coast, not only do you fly all those hours, grinding all my life, but now you go 12 hours into the future. There's a 12-hour time difference. If you're coming from Central Standard or even the West Coast, now you're talking 15 hours. Man, you better sit your ass down somewhere. And that's one of the things I talked about last night. Stay around the hotel for the first day or two and let that jet lag wear off. You know, go to sleep because if not, it's going to ruin your trip. Everywhere you go, you're going to be dragging. You're not going to have any energy. He said, take them stairs. That's what we did. Yeah. That Jeffrey knows I'm telling the truth. Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, this woman, you know, it's like, lady, I'm not interested. But she's trying to get me to go upstairs. I'm like, I'm not interested. Was there some dime pieces on there? Yeah. The lady got more women was coming because we sat there for a little while. And was just talking, and, you know, some guys are coming by, recognized me. We're just sitting there talking. I guess I was there, you know, from dusk till it got dark. And by the time we left, there was plenty of women out there. I mean, they was, you know, spilling out into the street. See, that if I were a sex tourist, that's where I would be. I wouldn't waste my time here. You know. He said that's why they stayed away. Well, those are the ones they run to. He says a lot of bar girls are booed up here in Okinawa, but you never know that. That's right. But you know, people are going to push back, Jeffrey. They don't know what they're talking about. When people were coming over here in the service, man, they wasn't going to Cebu and all those places, man. They were staying around in Pampanga, Olongapo and all those places, Angeles City, Subic Bay. They wasn't going anywhere. They were marrying those women. Them sellers especially. It's worse when you go back home. To me, he said it usually takes about 2 to 3 days to get over the jet lag from the USA to the Philippines. I'm young though. No, that's about right. Coming back, it's even worse. It took me about 10 days to get adjusted. I don't know if because I'm older when I went back home. I mean, man, I was dragging. I was going to sleep at all types of hours. But yeah, you don't know unless they tell you. And a lot of times they're not going to tell you. He said they get better looking after more beer consumption. I bet you they do, but they just had ring around the booty, man. I didn't like that. Where, where they wear I don't know where that comes from, where it gets dark right there, where the thigh and the booty meet. I don't like that. I don't know where would they get that from? Sitting on them bar stools all day or something? But they had ring around the booty, man. I didn't like it. It turned me off. Yeah, thank you. This is what I'm saying. He said, think about how else would the military guys meet a Filipino back in the 90s? They're not going anywhere off their base. You bet not. Certainly back in them days, the giant was awake. Yeah, it takes a while, but people, they don't want to listen to that, man. That adrenaline. I came here one time, man, and, the woman met me in Manila, and I was all hyped up for her, man. She's fine as hell. And I said, no, let's go we went to, her brother actually lived in Tagaytay. He was a conductor on the bus. He's the one who takes the tickets and the fare. But we went to his house. I didn't try to sleep. I didn't try to do nothing. Man, when we went to Tagaytay, I don't remember anything. I didn't remember kind of walking around a little bit. I just remember coming back, standing on the bus stop, seeing the tall volcano. I guess we were in Batangas then. I mean, I was a dead man walking. I don't want to be that tired anymore. Oh yeah, you see that all the time up there. But they ain't war babies anymore. I don't know. I guess you call them dating site babies now. Dating app babies, the dating site babies. You see them all over now. Where the guys come over here, man, and they run off, and you can tell. I see them in St. Carlos City all the time. You know that the baby's half. I've even seen a few half black, and you should see the woman looks at me and the baby looks at me if I see them at the store. He said I was too excited. My first trip, I was so excited, and then I couldn't even lay down. When we got to the hotel, we stayed in the Crown Regency, so we had to ride all the way over from the airport over into Cebu. I probably laid down, man. I arrived about 1 a.m. I probably laid down about 2 or 3 hours, man. I was right back up. So when we went she took me to SM City, I was beat. I mean, I was literally beat. I had to come back. Yeah, the ring around the booty. I don't know where they get that from, but it's very unattractive to me. I don't know where they would get that, but so many of those women had that. This one certainly had it. Because they wear the short, little, sort of like the outfits that you see in Hooters. A lot of them have those sort of outfits on. But you see that dark, ring right there where the booty meets the thigh. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Lady, I'm sorry. But it's true, Rich abroad. But guys who try to say, Then they try to say, oh, you just said that because Maryland's going to get on your case. No. If you ever been to Soy 6, you'll see it. Now, I think walking streets a step up from Soy 6 is what Mr. Lee was saying. You know, he was communicating through the damn phone. He couldn't speak a bit of English. I couldn't speak a bit of Thai. Everything he said, he'll speak in there and hand it to you. Then it'll go off. This is better, he'll say. You know, talking about the walking street. He said the wrinkled dark knees is another sign. But yeah, it's never been my scene either. The only time I ever did anything like that was when you're in the Navy and you're out to sea for a long, long time, or you go to a place like Brazil. We went to Rio and Cartagena, Colombia. Man, you're going to do something. The women's just so beautiful. You know, at that time, you're talking about I'm 19 to 20 years old. I never seen women like that before. When we went to Brazil, it was so many women. Some of the clubs, you had to have a woman to get in. You couldn't, they didn't want any single men and single women coming in there. You had to have a woman with you to get in the club. I just had never seen anything like that. And believe it or not, this is no lie. I spent all my money in Rio the first night. I had to borrow money from my friends for the other 4 nights we were there. I spent every dime I had. Like a damn crackhead. I mean, because when you're on the aircraft carrier, you got to dock way out to sea, and then those ferries will come and get you. Man, the closer you get to the dock, man, you see just all these women, man, just sitting there waiting. And it was the most beautiful black woman I'd ever seen. She was my first stop, but not the most beautiful woman I had there. And Rio just got some just unbelievable women, man. Crazy. He said that flight back kicks your ass coming and going, but most guys are so sad as hell when returning back home, which caused you several more days to recover from the flight. Man, I know the first time I came back from the Philippines, man, I hated it. Man, it's the best time I had in years. It was just what I was looking for. It was just what the doctor ordered, man. Because, you know, Lapu-Lapu at that time was popping, man. And we stayed at the Tamboli Beach Resort, and oh man, she was telling me, you know, because see, this is why I be telling y'all about, you know, this woman was married, but she was separated from her husband. So the very first woman I've ever really was with, well, second, because I met 2 women. The first one just, we didn't click. But me and this 41-year-old, even if I would have fell in love with her and, you know, and everything, I wouldn't have been able to do anything with her. But she was telling me she's doing things for me that she never did for her husband. And I believed her. She said that's why they split up. But the crazy thing about it is they lived in the same, sort of like a duplex. You know, over here they're in a duplex. She lived upstairs with, you know, her and her daughters, and he lived downstairs with his new wife and their baby. Yeah, I catfished Maryland. I didn't have a choice, really, you know, after I couldn't convince my wife to stay. You know, she was determined she's going back. She didn't have a job. She didn't have a place to stay. She wanted to go back. So I said, okay, I'm going back on the dating site. Well, I couldn't put my real picture on there. The Philippines is small. If I were to put my picture on any dating site right now, Maryland would know. Somebody's going to see you on there. So I put a picture of an old looking man, an older black man. And I was just talking to her. And then the day before, I was already in Dumaguete, and she's supposed to meet me the next day in Dumaguete. we finally spoke on camera because I'm like, yeah, I'm here. And she said, what are you doing? You're not the one I was talking to. I said, yeah, that's my father. But then eventually I told her. But, you know, once you're honest with them, you know, and I just told her, I said, you know, and my wife knows it. My wife would have stayed here. We'd have never split up. We didn't have any problems. But I just wasn't going back to America, man. I was determined I wasn't going back. So she left my son here too, you know, to try to make it seem like, you know, try to force me to go back. And I didn't go back. And that was the end of that, man, you know, and it took some time really, you know, to get over that, man. I'm a human being. But I eventually did, you know, because we're different. We come from different cultures. See, I would have never, Maryland lives far from my ex-wife. Okay, I would have never, man, they know, okay, just like they know Sunshine Shoulders in St. Carlos City, they know Sunshine Shoulders in Zamboanga. I could have easily got a woman there, but I would have never did that. I wouldn't have, you know, just out of respect, I wouldn't have did that. She dated a man in my hometown. My friends and family saw them, you know, in the beginning, it was kind of hurtful, man. You know, it's like, you know, why would you do that? But they think on a whole different level. In her mind, it's no big deal. You know, I'm going to have to date somebody, but to me, it's like you're disrespectful. He says, how much on average does a flight to the Philippines cost on average? When are the best time frames in which to head that way? I would, you know, a lot of times, all you got to do, they say Thursday, if you're flying overseas, Thursday's the best day. Over here, the summertime is March to June. So flights are going to be a little bit higher because it's summer over here. And of course, when it's summer in America. So I would say, I came over the first time in April. And you can get a good ticket now. My round trip was only like $900 and something. But when I first came over here in 2018, when we moved over here, man, my ticket was less than $600 for a round trip on Cathay Pacific. I don't know what it is, but you'll see it. If you ever seen it before, come on, guys, y'all seen it before. He said, I thought I was the only one getting depressed when I had to go up that escalator to leave Thailand. Yeah, I hated leaving. Yeah, I flew out of Cebu, man. And then, you know, she waited with me at the gate. But then once I had to check in, man, it was tough. You see her walking away and, you know, you looking outside, you see the palm trees swaying and everything, man. It was ugly, man. But I knew one day I was going to come over here and I wasn't leaving. I knew it eventually. Well, I don't know. You know, they got provinces there too. He said the ring around the booty phenomenon, I've observed this for 29 years in the Philippines. I never discuss it in public. Calvin is the first to mention it. I think they get it from the cheap panties. I don't know where they get that, but it was so prevalent on Soy 6. And I was like, wow, look at this. But, you know, because see, I buy Maryland, and any of my women that I've been dealing with over here, I buy them the G-string. You know, they look so good in that. You know, I don't know what they be wearing, and you know, when they meet me, but I always replace it with the good G-string. You know, they don't have that. He says, brown Southeast Asians aren't really that attractive to me. If I didn't have to be black, I would go to Japan, China, Korea to get my rocks off and live a very good life in each of those countries. Yeah, it's like, you know, everybody's got their preference. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't even know why people even have that discussion. about, the Filipinos like black guys and all that stupid stuff. They prefer white men. Well, maybe the ones that they're dealing with. There's nothing wrong with that for having a preference. Obviously, right now at this stage in my life, I prefer Filipino women. And, are black women going to get mad at me? Some will, some won't. He says, are Philippine women more open to sex, more open than American women? Well, you're running into a situation over here. You're running into a different situation over here altogether. So I'm going to say the women that we deal with, obviously, yes. It's the unspoken agreement. Okay, you're going to take care of her. She's going to take care of you. I've never begged in 16 plus years. I've never been told no in 16 plus years. This is the only place I've ever turned down a blowjob or head because it was too fast. You just did it 5 minutes ago. Now you want to do it again, but it's just because we've worked out this agreement, But normal Filipino women, I don't know. I've never really dealt with all the women I've dealt with. I've met them on the dating site, and they're for whatever, really. That's just to be honest. That's why I say most of us meet our women on the dating site. They've already made it clear, okay, I like foreigners, I date foreigners. And, they already been schooled on what's going on. Those women, there's no innocent victims on those dating sites. And you better know what you're getting into either. There's no victims over here, guys. That's why I don't have a problem. That's the reality. The perception is we're taking advantage of women over here, defenseless women, disadvantaged women, the poverty and all that. No. And the perception is they're taking advantage of us. The reality is there's no victims. Everybody knows what they're getting into. That's 100% facts. Okay. Yeah, that was a Q in the Philippines. That was his channel. Remember, he's the boss on my channel. But when I clicked on his channel, he's got some good videos though. But he was not the boss. He's cooking food and all that stuff. He's in the province on one of them. He talks 10 karat crazy on my channel. You would think he's Sean Combs or somebody. But then when you click on his channel, he's yes sir boss. That's what the guy said. He said, what's the ring around the booty? That's just that brown area between where the butt, cheek, and the thigh meet, and the back of the thigh meet. It's just I don't know where it comes from, but every woman that was in that bar had it. Yeah, he said it comes from cheap underwear. I don't know where it comes from. I just know that it was there, and it just, I don't know, man. I was like, wow, I thought I was going to see. Now, if you go into them Bubble, I think, what's the name of that place? Bubble House or something. It's like 1, 2, and 3 in Patio. The more money you spend, then you're going to see the 15s and 10s and 15s. He said, bro, Cal, the walk away at the airport is rough. Your girl crying as you go through security. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. And that's another thing, another suggestion I gave guys on the first trip over here. If you're thinking about moving to the Philippines, I wouldn't get involved with anybody, man, because that's going to speed you up. Because if you run into a woman anywhere near the women that I run into over here, man, they're going to whip you, man. They're going to spoil you, man. And so you're not really going to be thinking clear. You're going to be trying to, you're going to make those rash decisions to hurry up and get back. I mean, if you come over and you meet somebody, that's another thing. But you get involved with somebody, man, it messes things up, man. You want to take your time, man. It's levels to the Philippines. I don't know about these other places. When people talk about the infrastructure and all that stuff like that, it's true to a certain extent. you know, like John Thomas said, everything's not for everybody. And so everybody really can't handle it over here. I would just come over here the first time just to have fun, I'd hang out at the beach, I'd get me a nice hotel, I'd make some memories. I'd walk through the malls wherever I am. I wouldn't be worried about a woman or anything like that. He got married. What's up, Hal? Funk Bass? He said, we have a little one on the way. Yeah, he said, Q don't mess around. He said, my girl actually got upset when I tried to turn down a BJ. Yeah, they want to please. Yeah. But I'm just saying, I'm like, I heard that song by Steve Arrington, I make you weak at the knees. Man, my knees be weak. And, because, I'm talking about it's good, and everything, right out of your fantasy. And then I go out on, because we living in Cebu, I go out on the patio. I'm out there with my coffee. I'm chilling, man. The sun is shining and everything. And here she come again. I'm like, hold on now, wait. Yeah, that's cute. But it's the first time ever in my life that I did that. He said, how much baby oil he got? Absolutely, this is true because we got a special agreement. We got a special situation. Just like the lady told me, she was trying to educate me on the Philippines. And she did. She was taking me around in Lapu-Lapu and Cebu to the nightclubs, to the beaches, to the restaurants and all of that. And she said, I'm doing things for you that I would never do for my husband, And she really kind of like schooled me right there. And that's been the situation ever since. They're going to do things for you they would never think about doing with the typical Filipino man. Yeah, I guess it's all subjective, really. It all depends. But for the most part, yeah, they are conservative. When you hear that a lady in the street and a freak in the sheets, that's what you're going to basically get here. Because when you see the women, you'll be like, that's no way. That's the same woman that be, when behind closed doors. But it is. Everything's in place. The hair, the makeup, everything's on. The minute they walk through that door, it all comes out. But yeah, it takes a long time. For the man, he's got to go through the ritual. They got a dating ritual over here, where they got to court the woman. I mean, because 2 or 3 guys may be courting her, and he's bringing food and different things. Some people play the guitar, and then what they'll say, they'll answer him. They'll either say yes or no. And they do that, I guess, because they ain't jumping into it. Now, this new generation is different. I can go walking, man. You see these young couples, man. They're in the park kissing and snuggled up and everything. But when I used to come over here before I lived here, I would see it. They would, because there's no divorce and, they want to take their time. The woman would certainly take her time. It's called an oil change. Yeah. I turned down one, but usually see, like when I was with my wife, we had our own little language, and where nobody would even know what I was talking about, and I would either text her. I could, if she's downstairs, I text. I'll be like, "Give me 5 minutes. I need 5 minutes." That was it. She know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Q, I turned on his channel. I was tripping. when I saw his channel. I'm like, is this the Q to be on my live streams? The boss man? He said, yeah, I agree, Cal. Take your time. But when that most beautiful woman shows up and you're free to meet her, I advise you to go for it. And old Kirk Douglas will snatch her up. Yeah. He said the Filipino family also has a honeymoon phase where they're excited and happy about their daughter landing a condo, dreaming about what you can do for them. Eventually, that too will wear off. Yeah, they're not going to disrespect the girl, certainly when they know she got a good one. They're not going to worry you and run you away. But there is a honeymoon period. It just lasts longer with, you know how when you meet a woman in the West, you know, when you first meet her, I guess the honeymoon period, I mean, it's there, but it's brief. Over here, it just lasts longer. Because you're involved in that, you're in that yes relationship. You're saying yes all the time. She's saying yes all the time. And so I guess that makes it last longer. Because that first hard no over there, and they turn their back, I don't feel like it, or they hit you with that, that's all you want is sex. See, you're never going to hear that over here. I've never heard that over here. I've never heard that over here. Because honestly, if you're taking good care of your woman, they're going to feel it's their obligation. I've heard Marilyn talking about that on the phone with her friends, saying, you know, that's your obligation. You know, if he can't get it up, you need to be working to help him get it up. You know, whatever that takes. And that's what I like about the situation. They just feel it's their obligation. But I'm talking about to the men who come over and take care of business. I'm not talking about the cheap Charlies. Yeah, see, but it takes a long time. I don't think I've ever heard no over here. Like I said, in 16 years, I've never begged. It's just, they're just so easy to get along with. And I'm easy to get along with. It don't take a whole lot for me. He said, yeah, giving you something isn't a problem. Yeah, it just feels like it's their obligation. And that's part of the culture that we seem to like. We seem to enjoy that. I've never been turned down. Never. And, you know, it's just something that they're going to put, you know, they're going to try you and you're going to try them. But if you into certain things that she's probably never done before, you better get that situated in the beginning. That's when you get it done in the beginning on that honeymoon period. Otherwise, you know, you might have a problem with the lube job. You know, but for the most part, they're for everything that you're for. But yeah, guys, I got to get off here, man, because we're going over here. Well, actually, they do. And actually, they don't have a lot of hair. A lot of them. He said they don't shave like Western women. Yes, they do. Now, you can ask them to keep that landing strip down there, but every woman I've ever had, until I told them to, hey, keep that landing strip on there, I find that attractive. They shaved. And they just don't have a lot of hair. That's why you see your girlfriend, they don't have eyebrows like this, really. Hey, it's good to see you, brother. I'll be glad when you come back over here, man. They have to put the line on. Merle has to put it on her. She's just got such thin, look like she's been taking chemotherapy treatments. And Merle is one of those, she don't grow any hair under her. She don't even use deodorant, man. She's got a gene, I'm missing a gene. But no, for the most part, yeah, they'll cut it until you say, hey, man, please don't cut that. Leave that right there. Because, you know, I want to see when I'm coming in for the landing. But they're very sexy, man. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. And you'll know the right one when you get her. It's gonna stun you, man. Like somebody done hit you with that stun gun. She's standing in front of you, man. Not a scratch on her. Take me, I'm yours. And you know, you can do whatever you want to me. Those are the magic words. I've only heard them once. Most women here, you know, that's just the action they show you. But I've only heard that one time. She said, "You can do whatever you want to me," and that right there will make you melt. Right there. I never heard that before or since. And I tell you what, I was done right there. I was done. That's the one I ended up buying the engagement ring and having the big engagement party and all that. Hell, the minute I got on the plane, she pawned that damn thing. But yeah, guys, take care, stay safe, stay out of trouble. I'll see y'all next time, man. I appreciate the super chat, super stickers, all your support. It's Charter Day here. And I'm going to take the kids over here and put them on the rides and do some people watching because they're going to be out today. They'll have a big concert later on. A big national artist will be here, maybe a couple of them, man. I mean, they're going to be jamming today. If you're around St. Carlos City, man, come here. I'm telling you, man. He said, I'm sure Filipinos love giving oil change, but also like men with good. Yeah, absolutely, because they're not used to getting that. He said, hey, Cal and crew, I just noticed you were doing a live. Take it easy and we'll catch up later. I'll fly back to the land on Thursday. Oh, man, we were just talking about that. Okay, guys, I'll see y'all later.